You keep saying you're fine, but you're not. You wake up every day wearing a mask, convincing the world and yourself that everything's okay. But deep down, you know something's missing. You feel it in the quiet moments when no one's watching. The truth is whispering to you, begging to be faced. This isn't another motivational speech. This is your wake-up call. It's time to stop lying, stop hiding, and finally face yourself. Chapter 1. The lie you live in. You wake up, check your phone, scroll through a few updates, maybe force a smile at something that doesn't even make you laugh anymore. You get dressed, go through the motions, and tell yourself, it's fine, I'm fine. But deep down, you know it isn't. You feel a quiet emptiness behind every routine. You're alive, but not awake. That's the lie most people live in, the quiet, comfortable denial that life is okay. Not great, not fulfilling, just okay. And it's the kind of lie that slowly kills your soul, one unspoken truth at a time. We tell ourselves lies because they protect us. They make the world feel a little softer, a little safer. You say you're happy because admitting you're not would mean facing what's missing. You say you're working hard because admitting you're distracted would mean confronting your lack of purpose. You tell yourself you're doing your best, even when you know you're playing small. It's easier to stay numb than to feel everything. Easier to pretend you're in control than to admit you're scared. But comfort is not peace. It's a cage disguised as calm. You see, denial doesn't always look dramatic. It's not about shouting lies. It's about whispering them so often that they start to sound like truth. It's saying, I'll start tomorrow, every day, for years. It's convincing yourself that scrolling, binge-watching, and staying busy counts as rest. It's staying in a relationship that drains you because you're afraid of being alone. It's doing work you hate because you don't believe you're capable of more. The lie you live in is built from small choices, little escapes from reality that slowly become your reality. If you were completely honest right now, if you stripped away the excuses, distractions, and half-truths, what would you see? Would you see someone chasing their potential or someone hiding from it? Would you see someone proud of their reflection or someone avoiding their own eyes? The truth can hurt, but that pain is sacred, because pain is the sound of growth breaking through denial. It's the alarm clock that wakes you up from the dream of, I'm fine. Most people don't fear failure, they fear exposure. They fear what they'll see when the noise fades and the mirror gets quiet. That's why we keep ourselves busy, because if we slow down, even for a moment, we might hear the truth whispering, you're capable of so much more than this. Let's be real, facing yourself isn't easy. It's uncomfortable. It means taking off the mask you've worn for years and realizing how heavy it really was. It means acknowledging that some of the things you've built your life around were built on fear, not love. But honesty is the foundation of freedom. You can't build a new life on top of lies. You have to demolish the old structure first. You have to face the wreckage before you can rebuild. So start by asking yourself one simple question. What am I pretending not to know? Because deep down, you always know. You know when something isn't right. You know when you're settling. You know when you're wasting time. The truth has always been there. It's just been drowned out by your own comfort. Think of the lies you tell yourself every day. I don't have time. I'll do it when I feel ready. It's not that bad. They need me to stay. I'm just tired. Every one of those phrases is a brick in the wall between you and your real self. They protect you from discomfort, but they also block you from growth. It's time to start removing those bricks, one by one. Start with honesty. Not perfection, not action, just honesty. Say to yourself, I'm not where I want to be. Say, I'm scared of failing, so I've been holding back. Say, I've been pretending I'm okay because I don't want people to see me struggle. That's not weakness, that's power. That's how you start breaking the lie. You see, self-deception doesn't protect you from pain, it just delays it. Every truth you avoid today comes back tomorrow, louder and heavier. You can't escape yourself. You can distract yourself, yes. You can bury your feelings, drown them in noise, ignore them with fake smiles and busy schedules, but eventually, the truth always resurfaces. And when it does, it doesn't ask for permission. It knocks down the walls you built around it. Sometimes it shows up as burnout, sometimes as a breakdown, sometimes as that quiet moment when you look around and realize you don't recognize your own life anymore. That's not failure, that's awakening. That's your soul saying, enough. Here's the beautiful part. The moment you stop lying to yourself, everything changes. Because once you tell the truth, you can do something about it. You can heal it, rebuild it, redirect it. Truth gives you clarity. Clarity gives you power. And power gives you freedom. The truth will hurt before it heals, but it will always heal. Imagine living a life where you don't have to pretend, where you don't wake up dreading your own thoughts, where you don't have to perform for the world just to feel enough. That life is waiting for you, but it starts with one decision: to stop lying to yourself. We lie because we're afraid of what the truth might demand from us, afraid it will force us to change, to let go, to grow. But here's what no one tells you. Change doesn't destroy you, it reveals you. All the best parts of you, your courage, your passion, your authenticity, are buried under the lies you've told to survive. You don't have to keep surviving, you can start living. And it begins with that small, brave moment when you say, "This is me. This is where I am. And I'm ready to be honest." It's not too late to wake up. It's not too late to choose truth. You don't have to have everything figured out. You just have to stop pretending. Every lie you let go of gives you back a piece of your soul. Every truth you face brings you closer to peace. You might not know exactly who you are yet, but you'll never find out by pretending to be someone else. So today, make yourself a promise. No more denial, no more excuses, no more hiding behind, "I'm fine." You owe yourself the truth, even if it's messy, even if it's uncomfortable. Because once you start living honestly, you'll realize that authenticity isn't the end of the journey, it's the beginning. And maybe that's the point. To stop chasing the illusion of perfection. To stop performing for approval. To stop living in a lie that keeps you safe but small. Maybe it's time to break the cage, to choose truth even when it hurts. To finally face the person you've avoided for too long. Because that person, the one behind the fear, the mask, the denial, is who you were always meant to become. And once you meet them, really meet them, you'll never go back. Chapter 2. The mirror never lies. Stand in front of a mirror. Really, look. Not for a few seconds. Not while fixing your hair or checking your outfit. Look at yourself. Look into your eyes. What do you see? Do you see a stranger? Someone tired, worn out, pretending? Or do you see someone alive, someone you still believe in? Most people can't look at themselves for long. The reflection feels uncomfortable, almost threatening, because the mirror doesn't care about your excuses. It doesn't care about your social mask, your reputation, or your carefully crafted image. The mirror only shows the truth, and the truth can be hard to face. The mirror never lies, but we do. We've become experts at deception, at editing our lives like highlight reels, showing the world our best angles while hiding the shadows. We filter, we pose, we pretend, and over time, we forget who we really are beneath all that performance. When you look in the mirror, you might see the version of yourself you want to believe in, the strong one, the confident one, the unbothered one. But if you stare long enough, the illusion cracks. The truth begins to leak through your eyes, in the lines of your face, in the weight of your posture. The mirror reveals what your words try to hide. It shows the exhaustion you've ignored, the disappointment you've buried, the dreams you've delayed. It doesn't accuse it, just reflects. And that's the beauty of it. The mirror isn't your enemy. It's your most honest friend. It doesn't judge, it reveals. It doesn't lie, it reminds. It shows you exactly what you need to see, if you're brave enough to look. The reflection you avoid the most is the one you need the most, because that's where your truth lives. When you finally stop running from your reflection, something powerful happens. You begin to recognize yourself again, not the edited version you show to the world, but the real you. The one who's been there the whole time, waiting for acknowledgement. The mirror becomes less about appearance and more about awareness. You begin to see your story written on your face, the strength, the survival, the scars. You start to understand that you're not broken, you're becoming. Every flaw, every line, every mark tells the story of a person who's lived, fought, and kept going. That's not something to hide, that's something to honor. But here's the problem. We've been taught to fear what we see. We're told to fix, to cover, to improve, to disguise. We're told to never be satisfied. You stand there comparing your reflection to someone else's, and with every comparison, you lose another piece of your self-worth. You start to see lack instead of life. You start to see imperfection instead of identity. And so you begin to hide from the mirror, from the truth, from yourself. But hiding doesn't heal. It only deepens the distance between who you are and who you pretend to be. The longer you avoid your reflection, the more disconnected you become. Soon, you stop recognizing yourself not because you've changed too much, but because you've stopped paying attention. Think about it. When was the last time you looked in the mirror and said something kind to yourself? When was the last time you met your own gaze and said, "I'm proud of you"? Most people never do. They only look to criticize, to fix, to find fault. They never pause to appreciate the resilience behind the reflection. You've survived things that could have broken you. You've carried weight that others couldn't see. You've shown up even when your heart was heavy. The person staring back at you is not your enemy. They're your ally. So why do you treat them like a stranger? The mirror is a tool, not a trap. It can show you the gap between who you are and who you want to be. But that's not a reason for shame. That's an invitation. If you look closely, you'll see two reflections: the person you've become and the person you're still becoming. Both deserve your compassion. Stop using the mirror to measure yourself against the impossible. Use it to remind yourself of what's real. Use it to reconnect with the truth that's been buried beneath layers of doubt and performance. Because you can't change what you won't face, and you can't face what you refuse to see. Sometimes, the mirror doesn't just show your face, it shows your habits. It reflects your choices, your discipline, your patterns. It tells the truth about how much effort you've given and how much you've held back. You can't fake effort in a reflection. The eyes always give it away. That's why people who are truly alive have a certain look about them, a light, a confidence, a peace. You can see it. It's not arrogance, it's alignment. It's what happens when someone's inner world matches their outer one. That's the goal. Not perfection. Alignment. To become someone who looks in the mirror and doesn't flinch. Someone who doesn't need to pretend anymore. Someone who sees their reflection and feels calm instead of conflict. But to get there, you have to tell the truth to the mirror and to yourself. You have to admit when you've been lazy, when you've made excuses, when you've been dishonest. That kind of honesty hurts at first, but it's cleansing. It's how you begin to rebuild trust with yourself. The mirror will hold you accountable if you let it. Because when you face yourself every day, you can't keep pretending, you can't keep lying. You start to see your own patterns too clearly to ignore them. And that's when real growth begins. Not when you impress others, but when you can finally look at yourself and say, I'm doing my best, I'm being honest. There's something sacred about that moment. It's the moment you stop trying to fix yourself and start trying to understand yourself. It's the moment you realize that self-honesty isn't about judgment, it's about liberation. You don't need to be flawless to be worthy of love. You don't need to have it all figured out to be proud of yourself. You just need to be real. Every day, the mirror offers you that chance. It whispers, look again. Not to find what's wrong, but to remember what's right. To remember that you're still here, still growing, still capable of change. You might look into the mirror and see someone who's made mistakes. That's okay. That means you've lived. You might see someone who's tired. That means you've been fighting battles others didn't see. You might see someone uncertain. That means you're evolving. Every reflection tells a story, and it's not always a pretty one, but it's yours. Own it, learn from it, respect it, because the person in the mirror has carried you through every storm, every heartbreak, every sleepless night. They deserve your forgiveness. They deserve your kindness. They deserve your belief. The mirror doesn't show your potential, it shows your presence. And presence is where power begins. So next time you pass a mirror, stop. Look at yourself not for flaws, not for validation, but for truth. Ask yourself, am I proud of who I'm becoming? If the answer is no, don't turn away. Stay there, face it, feel it, and then start changing it. The mirror isn't trying to hurt you, it's trying to wake you up. The mirror never lies. It will never tell you you're enough until you decide that you are. It will never hand you confidence. You have to earn it by showing up for yourself. Every morning, when you face that reflection, remember, this is where the real work begins. Not in pretending, not in performing, but in choosing every single day to be honest. Because honesty is how you take your power back. And once you reclaim it, no reflection, no opinion can shake it. So go back to that mirror. Look again, not at the surface, but at the soul behind it. See the one who's been through hell and still standing. See the one who's tired but not broken. See the one who's still capable of more than they've ever imagined. That's the truth. That's the real reflection. And the mirror, your oldest, most honest friend, has been waiting for you to notice. Because the mirror never lies. But it will keep showing you the truth until you finally believe it. Chapter 3. Comfort is a slow death. Comfort feels safe, doesn't it? It wraps around you like a blanket, soft, familiar, protective. It tells you that you've earned a rest, that you're fine right where you are, that change can wait until tomorrow. Comfort feels like peace until it isn't. Because comfort doesn't just protect you, it traps you. And the cruel thing about it is that you never notice when it happens. One day you're chasing something big, and the next you've settled into good enough. You stop pushing, stop questioning, stop growing. You start telling yourself, I'll get back to it soon. But soon turns into someday, and someday becomes never. That's how comfort kills. Not fast, not loud, slowly, silently. One easy day at a time. The truth is, most people don't quit on their dreams in one big moment. They quit gradually, in tiny decisions that seem harmless. They hit snooze instead of getting up early. They scroll instead of reading. They stay in the same job, the same routine, the same mindset, because it's comfortable. But here's the question. When did comfort start mattering more than purpose? When did being okay become better than being alive? We confuse comfort with happiness, but they are not the same. Comfort numbs you. Happiness wakes you. Comfort makes you feel safe. Happiness makes you feel free. You weren't born to live a lukewarm life. You weren't meant to coast. There's something inside you that wants to expand, to reach, to create, to become. But that part of you can't breathe when you're surrounded by comfort. Think about this. The strongest trees grow in the harshest storms. The brightest stars are born out of darkness. Diamonds form under pressure. Everything beautiful, everything powerful, everything alive is shaped by challenge. So, why do you keep running from yours? You've been taught to believe that peace means the absence of struggle. But real peace comes from strength, not avoidance. You don't find peace by staying safe. You build it by becoming unshakable. And that only happens when you stop hiding inside your comfort zone. Comfort doesn't just keep you still, it rewires your mind. The longer you stay in it, the smaller your world becomes. You start to fear things that once excited you. You start to avoid risks you used to crave. You start mistaking stability for success. Your mind becomes a cage lined with soft pillows. It's cozy, sure, but you're not free. Ask yourself honestly, when was the last time you did something that scared you a little? When was the last time you felt that pulse of uncertainty, that rush of, I don't know if I can do this, but I'm going to try? That's not fear, that's aliveness. That's your soul waking up. Growth doesn't come from ease. It comes from friction, from challenge, from resistance, from the uncomfortable moments that force you to stretch. You don't become stronger by lifting nothing. You don't build courage by avoiding fear. You don't develop resilience by escaping failure. You grow when you choose the hard path, when you lean into discomfort instead of running from it. And here's the irony. The more you avoid discomfort, the more uncomfortable your life becomes. Because the price of avoiding growth is regret. Regret for the things you didn't try. Regret for the potential you never touched. Regret for the person you could have been. There's a version of you that exists on the other side of your comfort zone, a version that's bolder, more focused, more alive. You don't meet that version by waiting for the right time. You meet them by doing the thing that scares you today. Discomfort is the bridge between who you are and who you could be. And yes, it's hard, it's messy, it's full of doubt, but it's also where life starts to feel real again. When you stop chasing comfort and start chasing truth, you begin to feel everything: fear, joy, pain, excitement, uncertainty, all of it. That's what it means to be alive, to feel, to grow. Most people are sleepwalking through life. They're comfortable but restless, safe but unsatisfied, surrounded by everything they need, yet haunted by everything they want. You can tell by the way they talk. I just need a break. I'll start when things calm down. I'm not ready yet. But life doesn't wait for you to be ready. It moves, it grows, and if you stand still long enough, it passes you by. Comfort will never tell you that truth. It will whisper, stay a little longer, you've earned this. But what you've really earned is the chance to evolve. Here's something to remember. Growth is supposed to feel uncomfortable. That's how you know it's working. The soreness after a workout, the awkwardness of a new skill, the fear before a big leap, all of it means you're stretching into something greater. You can't avoid that feeling and expect to change. You can't hide from discomfort and expect transformation. Every time you choose comfort over challenge, you choose safety over progress. And little by little, your spark dims. The question isn't whether you're capable, it's whether you're willing to be uncomfortable long enough to become capable. The people you admire, the ones who inspire you, who seem fearless, they aren't comfortable. They've just learned to make discomfort their home. They fail, they doubt, they struggle, but they keep moving. They've stopped waiting for things to get easier because they know that ease never comes first, growth does. And every time they step into discomfort, they discover something new about themselves: strength, clarity, purpose. You can have that too. But you can't have it while clinging to comfort. Ask yourself this: what has your comfort cost you? Maybe it's cost you your health because change feels too hard. Maybe it's cost you your dreams because risk feels too scary. Maybe it's cost you your happiness because settling feels safer than starting over. Comfort isn't bad in small doses. Rest is necessary. Recovery is essential. But when comfort becomes your home, you stop building, you stop exploring, you stop becoming. You weren't made to live inside walls, you were made to climb them. The greatest danger in life isn't failure, it's stagnation. You can recover from failure, you can learn from rejection, but you can't grow inside a life you refuse to challenge. So, stop asking, what if it doesn't work? And start asking, what if I never try? Because that question will haunt you far more than any mistake ever could. Your comfort zone will give you short-term relief, but it will rob you of long-term fulfillment. One day, you'll look back and realize that every meaningful thing you ever did started with discomfort. Every victory was born from risk. Every transformation began with fear. The truth is, comfort feels like safety, but it's a slow kind of death. You don't notice it happening, but it's there, in the quiet resignation, in the fading excitement, in the way your dreams get smaller each year. The goal isn't to eliminate comfort, it's to master it, to use it as a pause, not a prison. Rest when you need to, but don't stay there. Let comfort be your recovery, not your identity. Because life doesn't happen in the familiar, it happens in the stretch, in the challenge, in the moments that test who you are. So here's your reminder: if it scares you, it's probably the right direction. If it challenges you, it's probably growth. And if it makes you uncomfortable, it's probably exactly what you need. Step into it, feel it, embrace it, because on the other side of that discomfort is the version of you that's been waiting to come alive. Don't let comfort kill your potential. Don't let safety steal your story. Choose the harder path. Choose the uncertain road. Choose growth, even when it hurts. Because that pain, the pain of leaving comfort, isn't punishment. It's proof that you're evolving. Chapter 4. The Cost of Pretending. You've been pretending for so long that sometimes you forget you're even doing it. You smile when you want to cry. You say, "I'm good," when you're barely holding it together. You act like everything's fine because you don't want anyone to see that it's not. Pretending becomes a habit. It becomes armor. You start wearing it everywhere, to work, to social events, even when you're alone. You convince yourself that if you just keep it together long enough, the lie will eventually become the truth. But deep down, you know the truth doesn't disappear. It waits. It sits quietly beneath the mask, whispering through every forced laugh, every empty conversation, every fake smile that hides the storm underneath. And one day, it catches up to you. Because pretending doesn't protect you. It drains you. It's like holding your breath all the time. You can do it for a while, but eventually, you'll have to exhale. And when you do, everything you've been hiding rushes out at once. We pretend for many reasons. We pretend to avoid judgment, to keep the peace, to fit in, to not disappoint. We tell ourselves that it's easier this way, that no one wants to hear the truth anyway. But the truth is, every time you pretend, you trade a piece of your peace for approval. You trade authenticity for acceptance. You give up the chance to be known in exchange for the illusion of being liked. And that's a painful deal, because eventually you forget who you are without the act. Pretending becomes your default. You play the role so well that even you start to believe it. You become the person people expect instead of the person you truly are. And that's the cost. You lose you. It starts small. You pretend to be happy in a relationship that's been dead for years. You pretend to be passionate about work that quietly kills your spirit. You pretend to be strong because you think vulnerability is weakness. But each of those lies adds weight to your heart. Every mask you wear is another layer between you and the truth. Until one day, you wake up feeling empty, disconnected, tired in a way that sleep can't fix. You don't even know what you want anymore because you've spent so long living for appearances that you stopped listening to your soul. That's what pretending does. It silences you. It teaches you to ignore your inner voice until it's just a whisper you can barely hear. And maybe you tell yourself it's harmless. Maybe you think, everyone does it. But pretending comes at a cost. It costs energy. It costs joy. It costs time, years sometimes. Every fake smile is a small betrayal. Every unspoken truth builds a wall between you and everyone around you. And slowly, those walls become prisons. You start feeling alone, even in crowded rooms. You start feeling unseen, even when everyone's looking at you. Because how can anyone see the real you when you keep hiding behind the version you think they'll accept? That's the cruel irony of pretending. It's supposed to make you belong, but it ends up making you invisible. Here's the thing, people don't connect with perfection. They connect with truth. They connect with struggle, with honesty, with realness. And yet, we spend our lives trying to appear flawless, thinking that's what makes us lovable. But love can't reach who you pretend to be. It can only reach who you are. You can't feel truly loved when you're not truly seen. You can't feel accepted when the person being accepted isn't even real. Pretending gives you temporary comfort, but long-term emptiness. It's a shortcut that leads to nowhere. Maybe you've been pretending to be the strong one, the one who has it all together, who never breaks, never complains. People rely on you. They think you're unshakable. But what they don't see is how exhausted you are. Because strength isn't the absence of struggle, it's the courage to be honest about it. You don't have to be perfect to be powerful. You don't have to have it all figured out to be respected. You just have to be real. Pretending feels safe because truth feels risky. You're afraid that if people saw the real you, the messy, complicated, imperfect you, they'd leave. But the truth is, if they can't love you as you are, their love was never real to begin with. Honesty filters your life. It removes what's false. It makes room for what's genuine. And yes, it might cost you some people. It might shake your relationships. But what you'll gain is peace, and peace is worth more than approval. Think about it, how much of your life is performance? How many conversations are filtered? How many dreams have you buried to fit into someone else's idea of who you should be? Pretending is easy in the moment, but it costs you authenticity every single time. And the more you do it, the less you recognize yourself. The danger isn't that others will stop believing you, it's that you'll start believing the lie. You'll start to think, this version of you, the one that's polished, quiet, agreeable, is all you are. And that's when pretending turns into imprisonment. Here's something most people never tell you. Honesty isn't cruel, it's kind. It's not meant to hurt, it's meant to heal. The truth might sting for a moment, but lies hurt forever. When you start being honest with yourself, you might lose some comfort. But you'll gain clarity. And clarity is freedom. The moment you stop pretending, you stop wasting energy trying to manage impressions. You stop worrying about keeping up appearances. You stop living in fragments. You become whole again. You can't fake fulfillment. You can't pretend peace. You can't trick your heart into believing a life that doesn't fit you. At some point, your soul starts demanding authenticity. It starts rebelling against the act. That's why burnout doesn't always come from doing too much. Sometimes it comes from doing too little of what's real. You don't get tired because you're busy, you get tired because you're disconnected. Because every day you act like someone you're not. You lose energy pretending instead of living. The real cost of pretending isn't exhaustion, it's disconnection. Disconnection from others, disconnection from your purpose, disconnection from yourself. You lose the ability to feel deeply, to love fully, to experience life honestly. You stop laughing the way you used to. You stop dreaming the way you once did. You start existing instead of living. That's the price of pretending you survive, but you never really live. But here's the beautiful part. The moment you decide to drop the act, everything starts to change. It's terrifying at first. You'll feel exposed, vulnerable, raw. But vulnerability isn't weakness, it's truth without armor. And truth has a power that pretending never will. When you start telling the truth, even small ones, you begin to breathe again. You feel lighter. You stop performing and start connecting. You stop impressing and start expressing. You realize that the people who matter don't need your mask, they need your honesty. And the ones who leave when you get real? They were never yours to keep. There's no freedom in being perfect. There's only pressure. But there is freedom in being honest, in saying, "This is me. I'm trying. I'm growing. And I'm done pretending." That's when peace starts to return. That's when your energy starts to rebuild. That's when life starts to feel like yours again. Because pretending may get you through the day, but authenticity will get you through life. So, take off the mask, slowly, gently, courageously. You don't have to rip it off all at once. Start with small truths. Start by admitting what you feel. Start by saying what you mean. Start by showing up as you are, even if your voice shakes. The people who matter will stay, the right ones will draw closer, and you'll finally be able to look in the mirror and recognize the person staring back. Pretending is heavy, but truth is light. So, drop the act, let the world see you, not the performance. You've been hiding behind your "I'm fine" for too long. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to be real. Because being real, even when it's messy, even when it's hard, is what makes you free. And freedom, that's worth everything. Chapter 5. Fear is just an invitation. Fear. It's the shadow that follows you everywhere. It hides behind your choices, whispers in your hesitation, and builds invisible walls around your potential. You call it caution. You call it logic. Sometimes you even call it being realistic. But deep down, you know it's fear. It's the quiet force that keeps you from saying what you mean, from doing what you dream, from being who you truly are. But what if you've been misunderstanding fear this whole time? What if fear isn't here to stop you, but to show you something? What if fear isn't a warning to retreat, but an invitation to grow? You see, fear only shows up when something matters. You don't feel fear about the things that don't have power over you. You feel fear when you're standing at the edge of change, when you're facing the unknown, when something important is on the line. Fear doesn't appear to destroy you. It appears to define the doorway you're meant to walk through. That's the secret most people never learn. They think fear is the enemy. They think they need to eliminate it before they act. But courage isn't the absence of fear, it's movement with fear. It's the decision to walk into the storm instead of waiting for it to pass. Because fear never goes away. You just learn how to listen to it differently. There are two kinds of fear. The first is the kind that keeps you alive, the natural instinct that tells you not to step in front of traffic, not to jump off a cliff, not to stick your hand into fire. That fear protects you. It's useful. The second kind, though, the one that whispers, "You're not enough, you'll fail." They'll laugh at you. That one doesn't protect you. It paralyzes you. That fear is the liar. It disguises itself as logic, disguises itself as comfort, but what it's really protecting is your ego. It wants you safe, small, predictable, because safety means control. And control means you never have to face uncertainty. But growth, the kind that changes your life, lives inside uncertainty. You can spend your whole life avoiding fear. You can build routines, walls, and stories around it. You can stay in the same place, do the same things, and convince yourself you're happy. But here's the truth. A life built on fear is not peace, it's prison. Fear doesn't keep you safe. It keeps you stuck. It keeps you watching instead of living. It keeps you wondering instead of becoming. And if you let it, fear will make your world smaller every year. Think about how many things you've wanted to do, but didn't because of fear. The words you didn't say, the risks you didn't take, the dreams you buried because they scared you. Fear told you that you weren't ready, that you weren't capable, that failure would be too painful. And maybe you believed it. Maybe you've believed it for years. But what has fear ever given you except regret? Because regret is what happens when you realize that the thing you feared wasn't nearly as painful as the time you wasted avoiding it. Here's the truth. Fear and growth are two sides of the same coin. You can't have one without the other. Every meaningful moment in your life will come wrapped in fear. Every opportunity worth chasing will demand you face it. That's how life tests you, not to break you, but to build you. Fear is the universe asking, how much do you really want this? And your answer isn't in your words, it's in your actions. It's whether you step forward even when your legs shake. It's whether you speak your truth even when your voice trembles. It's whether you keep going even when everything in you says, stop. You can't think your way out of fear. You have to act your way through it. Action is the antidote to fear. Because once you move, once you take even the smallest step, you realize that the monster in your mind was never as big as you imagined. Fear feeds on stillness. It grows in hesitation, but it dies in motion. So move, even if you're unsure, even if you're scared, especially if you're scared. Because fear only has power when you obey it. Every great story, every hero, every creator, every person who changed their life started with fear. They all felt it. The difference is, they didn't let it decide for them. They felt the fear, and they moved anyway. They used it as fuel instead of a wall. Because the truth is, fear doesn't mean stop, it means pay attention. It means something important is ahead. It means your comfort zone is ending, and your growth zone is beginning. Fear is a compass. It points to the exact place your courage is needed most. Imagine your life if you stopped running from what scares you. Imagine how free you'd feel if you stopped letting fear dictate what's possible. You'd stop waiting for the right time and start making time. You'd stop worrying about what people think and start living what you believe. You'd stop surviving and start becoming. The irony is, once you face fear, you realize it never had power, it only borrowed yours. You were not born afraid. Fear was taught to you through disappointment, through failure, through the moments when you tried and it didn't work. But those moments weren't evidence that you should stop. They were proof that you started. Every failure you've ever had means you were brave enough to try. And that's something fear will never understand, because fear has never created anything. Fear has never written a book, built a dream, started a movement, or healed a heart. Only courage does that. When you make fear your guide instead of your guard, something changes. You stop asking, "What if I fail?" and start asking, "What if I fly?" You stop waiting for confidence and start building it through action. You stop hiding from uncertainty and start walking toward it with curiosity. Because fear doesn't disappear when you grow, it evolves with you. But so does your courage. And over time, courage becomes louder, stronger, sharper. You start recognizing fear not as a stop sign, but as a signal that you're moving in the right direction. Let's be honest, fear will never feel comfortable. Your heart will still race, your hands will still shake, your mind will still invent 1,000 reasons to quit. But one moment of courage can change the entire trajectory of your life. One choice to step forward can rewrite years of hesitation. And once you realize that fear is just part of the process, it loses its power to control you. Because you understand that fear isn't your enemy, it's your teacher. It's there to stretch you, to sharpen you, to show you who you are when everything comfortable is stripped away. There's a quote that says, "Everything you want is on the other side of fear," and it's true. But what they don't tell you is that fear guards that door for a reason. It wants to make sure you're ready for what's on the other side. Because the other side isn't easy, it's growth, it's responsibility, it's truth. Fear doesn't mean stop. It means prepare. It means wake up. It means step forward anyway. You can spend your whole life avoiding fear and call it being safe. Or you can face it and call it being alive. So the next time fear shows up, don't shrink, don't run. Pause. Listen. Ask it what it's trying to teach you. Then thank it and walk through it. Because every time you do, you reclaim a piece of your power. You remind yourself that you're stronger than the story fear told you. And with every step forward, fear starts to fade, not because it's gone, but because you've outgrown it. Fear will always knock on your door, but you don't have to let it live in your house. Acknowledge it, learn from it, then move anyway. Because fear is not the end of your path, it's the beginning. It's the doorway to everything you've ever wanted to become. And the only question that remains is, will you answer the invitation? Chapter 6, Breaking the Mask. You've been wearing it for so long, you almost forgot it was there. The mask. It started as protection, something to help you survive in a world that didn't always feel safe. You wore it to fit in, to be liked, to avoid rejection, to hide the pain that no one seemed ready to see. And over time, it became part of you. Now, you wake up and put it on without thinking. You smile when you don't feel like smiling. You say you're fine when you're breaking inside. You pretend to be confident when you feel lost. You've become a master of disguise, but the disguise is heavy, isn't it? It's exhausting carrying the weight of who you think you're supposed to be. The truth is, everyone wears masks. We wear them at work, around family, in public, sometimes even when we're alone. We wear masks of strength, of humor, of indifference. We wear masks of success to hide our insecurity, masks of perfection to hide our fear of being judged. But the more you wear the mask, the less you remember what your real face looks like. And that's where most people get lost, not in failure, not in rejection, but in pretending. Because pretending may help you survive the world, but it will never help you feel alive in it. The mask starts small. It's innocent at first. You learn early that being yourself isn't always safe. You say something real and someone laughs. You show emotion and someone calls it weakness. So you adjust. You tone yourself down. You filter your truth. You start saying what people want to hear instead of what you actually feel. Each time you hide a piece of yourself, the mask grows thicker. Each time you choose approval over authenticity, it hardens a little more, until one day you realize that the person the world loves isn't even really you. They love the mask. They love the performance. And that realization breaks something inside you, because deep down, you know they don't even know you. You've probably felt it, that quiet ache in the middle of a conversation where everyone's laughing and you suddenly feel out of place. That strange emptiness that shows up even when everything looks perfect. That's your soul trying to breathe through the cracks in the mask. It's whispering, "This isn't me," but you silence it. You tell yourself that this is just how life is, that everyone pretends a little, that it's normal to play a role, and maybe it is. But just because it's normal doesn't mean it's right. Here's the hard truth. The mask doesn't protect you anymore, it imprisons you. It keeps people from seeing who you really are, but it also keeps you from feeling what's real. Because every time you hide your truth, you lose connection not just with others, but with yourself. You can't selectively hide emotions. When you numb the pain, you numb the joy too. When you suppress your anger, you silence your passion. When you hide your sadness, you bury your depth. The mask doesn't just hide your flaws, it hides your fire. And here's the irony. The very thing you built to make people like you eventually makes you feel unseen. Because how can anyone love the real you if you never let them meet it? That's why the loneliest people in the world are often the ones surrounded by others. They're not lonely because no one's around, they're lonely because no one knows them. They've spent so long performing that they've forgotten how to just be. And it's not because they're fake, it's because somewhere along the line, the world taught them that authenticity was dangerous. But you can't spend your life hiding behind protection that's also your prison. The moment you take off the mask, the air feels different. Raw, exposed, free. It's terrifying at first. You feel naked, vulnerable. You worry that people won't like what they see, that maybe the real you isn't enough. But that fear is just the echo of old lies. The truth is, the people meant for you can only find you once you take it off. You can't attract what's real while you're pretending. Taking off the mask doesn't push the right people away, it pulls them in. Because authenticity has a frequency, it draws in truth and repels falseness. When you're real, the world rearranges itself around that truth. But here's something important. Breaking the mask doesn't mean destroying who you've been. It means understanding why you wore it in the first place. That mask once served a purpose. It protected you when you didn't have the strength to be seen. It helped you survive moments where vulnerability wasn't safe. It was a shield, not a sin. But the time for protection has passed. Now it's time for connection. And connection can't grow where masks still live. So honor it for what it was, and then let it go. Say thank you, and then step out from behind it. Taking off the mask is not a one-time act, it's a process. It's peeling back layers of fear, expectation, and shame. It's admitting to yourself, I don't have it all figured out. It's saying, I'm still healing. It's being okay with not being okay sometimes. That's what makes you human. That's what makes you relatable. That's what makes you real. And the more real you become, the lighter life feels. You stop overthinking every word, every move, every impression. You stop performing and start existing. You start laughing without worrying how you sound. You start crying without apologizing for it. You start showing up without pretending to be someone else. That's freedom. Freedom doesn't come from control. It comes from surrender, from letting go of the need to be perfect, the need to impress, the need to hide. Because the truth is, nobody's paying as much attention as you think. Everyone's too busy wearing their own mask to notice yours. So you might as well drop it. Be messy, be real, be human. Because the moment you stop pretending to be flawless, you give everyone else permission to be real too. Your honesty becomes healing not just for you, but for the people around you. And yes, it will scare some people. Some will pull away when you stop playing the role they expected. They'll say, "You've changed." But what they really mean is, "You stopped pretending for my comfort." Don't chase them, let them go. Because the ones who truly see you won't need the mask to love you. They'll love your unfiltered laughter, your flaws, your rawness. They'll love you because you're real, not despite it. Breaking the mask means learning how to be seen again. It means standing in your truth, even when your voice shakes. It means realizing that vulnerability isn't weakness, it's strength without armor. And every time you show up without your mask, you grow. You grow closer to yourself. You grow braver in your truth. You grow softer in your heart. And eventually, the fear of being seen turns into the joy of being known. You don't need to be impressive. You need to be honest. You don't need to be perfect. You need to be present. The people who truly love you won't be drawn to your mask, they'll be drawn to your light. And your light can't shine through a disguise. So take it off, even if it feels uncomfortable, even if it feels like you're stepping out into a storm. Because that storm, that's just truth clearing the air. You've spent years carrying an identity that was never truly yours. It's time to let it fall away. It's time to breathe again. It's time to stop hiding behind who you were and start embracing who you are. Because behind the mask is someone worth knowing. Someone brave, someone real, someone alive. And once you meet that version of yourself, the one that doesn't need approval to exist, you'll never want to go back. So let the mask crack. Let it fall apart. Let it shatter if it needs to. Because what's waiting underneath is more beautiful than anything you've ever shown the world. And maybe for the first time, you'll see it too, the real face beneath the layers, the unfiltered truth, the self that's been waiting to breathe. You are not the mask you wear. You never were. You are the soul beneath it, and that soul is finally ready to be seen. Chapter 7. The Truth About Pain. Pain is the language life uses when it wants your attention. It doesn't arrive to punish you. It arrives to wake you. You can try to ignore it, bury it under distractions, drown it in noise, smile through it, but pain always finds another way to speak. It knocks louder every time you turn away. It follows you into quiet rooms and restless nights, whispering the same question: are you finally ready to listen? Most people treat pain like an enemy. We fight it, medicate it, curse it, and do everything we can to get rid of it. But pain isn't out to destroy you, it's trying to deliver something. It's a messenger, not a monster. Pain shows you where something's off. It exposes the lies you've been living and the truths you've been avoiding. It tells you when you've outgrown a place, a job, a relationship, a version of yourself. It points to the wound that needs healing, the boundary that needs drawing, the change that needs beginning. You don't have to love pain, but you do have to respect it. When you numb pain, you also numb possibility. That's the dangerous trade, because the same door that pain walks through is the one joy walks through too. If you close yourself off to hurt, you close yourself off to love. If you build walls to keep out heartbreak, you build walls that keep out connection. If you bury your sadness, you bury your depth. Pain is proof that you're still alive enough to feel, and feeling even when it hurts is the only path to healing. The truth about pain is this: it's not permanent. It moves, it shifts, it transforms. It stays only as long as it has something to teach you. But most of us never let it finish its lesson. We interrupt it with denial, distractions, or blame. We patch the wound without cleaning it first, and then wonder why it keeps reopening. Healing isn't about avoiding pain. It's about walking through it with open eyes. You have to feel it to free it. Think back to the hardest moment of your life, the loss, the breakup, the failure, the betrayal. You didn't think you'd survive it, did you? But you did. And not only did you survive, you changed. Maybe you became wiser, maybe you became stronger, maybe you became softer and more compassionate because of it. That's what pain does. It reshapes you. It burns away what's false and leaves behind what's real. It strips away the illusions of control and reminds you how fragile, how precious, how temporary everything is. And in that realization lies freedom. We live in a world that avoids discomfort at all costs. We're taught that happiness is the goal, that pain means something's gone wrong. But what if pain isn't the opposite of happiness? What if it's the doorway to it? You can't appreciate light without knowing darkness. You can't value peace without having lived through chaos. You can't recognize love without having felt loss. Pain stretches your capacity to feel. It deepens your humanity. It connects you to every other person who's ever struggled, ever cried, ever hoped. Pain is the great equalizer. It humbles us all. There's a moment that happens when you finally stop running from it. It's quiet. It's not dramatic. It's just this stillness, this deep exhale when you say, "Okay, I'm ready to feel this." And that's when healing begins. Because the moment you face your pain, it starts to change shape. What once felt unbearable becomes manageable. What once felt endless starts to move. The wound you've been hiding begins to breathe again. Pain, once acknowledged, starts to lose its sharpness. It softens into wisdom. Sometimes pain shows up as loss. Sometimes as loneliness. Sometimes as failure or heartbreak or betrayal. But underneath every form, it carries the same message. Something inside you is ready to grow. Loss teaches you gratitude. Failure teaches you humility. Heartbreak teaches you depth. Loneliness teaches you self-connection. Pain is the curriculum of becoming human. You don't have to be grateful for your pain to be grateful through it. You don't have to pretend it doesn't hurt. You just have to remember that hurt isn't the end of the story. Every time life breaks you, it's also inviting you to rebuild. Every ending is just disguised instruction for a new beginning. Your job isn't to resist the pain, it's to ask it what it's trying to show you. Because there's always a message hidden inside the ache. Maybe your pain is teaching you boundaries, showing you where you've been giving too much, forgiving too quickly, settling too easily. Maybe it's teaching you patience, reminding you that healing doesn't happen on command. Maybe it's teaching you self-worth, forcing you to see that you deserve more than the situations you keep tolerating. Or maybe it's teaching you surrender, to stop controlling, stop forcing, stop pretending that strength means never breaking. Because sometimes the most courageous thing you can do is fall apart honestly. When you stop fighting pain, you begin to transform it. You start turning it into art, empathy, understanding. You start using it as a bridge to others instead of a wall around yourself. The most compassionate people aren't the ones who've never been hurt, they're the ones who've learned from it. They're the ones who let their pain make them kinder instead of colder. That's the real purpose of pain. It can harden you or it can heal you. The choice is yours. Some people carry pain like a badge. They let it define them, shape their identity, become their story. But pain isn't who you are, it's what you've been through. And what you've been through doesn't define you. How you rise from it does. You can let pain close your heart, or you can let it break your heart open. You can let it make you bitter, or you can let it make you wise. You can let it keep you stuck in the past, or you can use it as fuel for your future. Pain will shape you, but you get to decide the form. Sometimes, the deepest healing comes not from fixing the pain, but from understanding it. You realize that pain is not just an obstacle, it's evidence that you're growing beyond who you used to be. Growth hurts because shedding an old version of yourself always does. But when the pain fades, what's left is clarity. Clarity about who you are, what matters, and what you'll never settle for again. That's the gift hidden in the ache. You might not see it now, but one day you'll look back and realize that the thing that nearly broke you was also the thing that built you. You'll see how the darkness forced you to find your own light. How the loss made room for something better. How the pain carved space in your heart for deeper love. One day you'll realize that pain didn't ruin you, it revealed you. So don't rush it. Don't numb it. Don't hate it. Sit with it. Listen to it. Learn from it. Because pain is a teacher that speaks in the language of truth. And when you finally understand what it's been trying to tell you, it lets you go. The truth about pain is this: it's not here to stay, it's here to shape. It's not here to punish, it's here to prepare. And once you see that, pain stops being something you fear and starts being something you can face. So when it comes again, and it will, don't ask, "Why me?" Ask, "What is this trying to make me see?" Because behind every pain is a lesson. And behind every lesson is a stronger, wiser, freer version of you waiting to emerge. Pain is inevitable. Suffering is optional. The difference is whether you choose to resist it or receive it. And when you choose to receive it, with honesty, with humility, with openness, you begin to see what pain really is. An invitation to become more whole than you've ever been. Chapter 8. Accountability is freedom. There's a moment in every person's life when they look around and realize no one's coming to save them. No one's going to make the call, take the step, heal the wound, or fix the mess. And in that moment, something inside you either breaks or wakes up. Because responsibility, true responsibility, isn't a burden. It's the doorway to power. That's the truth about accountability. It's not punishment. It's freedom. For most of your life, you've been conditioned to believe that accountability means guilt, that taking ownership means you've done something wrong. So when things fall apart, your first instinct is to look outward, to blame, to justify, to explain. It's because of them. It's because of my past. It's because life isn't fair. And maybe all of that is true. But here's the problem. Every time you point the finger outward, you hand away your power. Blame feels good in the moment. It soothes your ego. It makes you feel like the victim of a story instead of the author of it. But the more you blame, the more powerless you become. Because you can't change what you won't own. Accountability is the moment you stop running from the mirror and start standing in it. It's the moment you say, "Yes, this is my life. These are my choices, and I'm the only one who can change it." That realization hurts, but it also heals. Because once you accept full responsibility for your life, you stop waiting for permission to live it. The truth is, it's easier to blame than to build. It's easier to complain than to create. It's easier to point at what's wrong than to take action toward what's right. That's why most people never step into accountability. They confuse it with blame. But accountability isn't about fault. It's about ownership. Ownership means saying, maybe it wasn't my fault that I got hurt, but it's still my responsibility to heal. Maybe it wasn't my choice to be broken, but it's my choice to rebuild. Maybe I didn't cause the storm, but I still control how I steer through it. That's what freedom sounds like. The moment you take ownership, you take your power back. You stop living as a victim of circumstance and start living as a creator of outcome. You start realizing that your life isn't happening to you, it's responding to you. You can't control everything that happens, but you can control what you do with it. And that choice, that one decision, is where your strength lives. Think about it. Every great transformation begins with accountability. You can't change your body until you stop blaming your metabolism. You can't fix your finances until you stop blaming the economy. You can't heal your heart until you stop blaming the person who broke it. As long as it's someone else's fault, it will always be someone else's control. And as long as you refuse to take responsibility, your life will keep repeating the same patterns under different names. Accountability isn't self-attack, it's self-awareness. It's looking at your reflection and saying, I created this version of my life through my choices, and I can create a new one through new choices. You're not stuck. You're just repeating what you haven't yet taken responsibility for. And once you own that truth, you unlock something most people never experience: the ability to rewrite your story. But let's be honest, accountability is uncomfortable. It forces you to admit things you'd rather not face. It strips away your excuses. It demands that you trade your victimhood for vision. And that's hard, because, as strange as it sounds, being a victim can feel safe. It gives you an identity. It gives you a reason. It gives you something to blame. But the comfort of victimhood is a trap. It keeps you small. You weren't born to make excuses. You were born to make changes. Taking accountability doesn't mean beating yourself up. It means being honest about your patterns. It means noticing the moments you keep choosing pain over peace, distraction over discipline, avoidance over action, and deciding to stop. You can't heal what you keep hiding from, and you can't fix what you refuse to face. So start small. Ask yourself, where am I giving my power away? Who am I blaming? What am I avoiding? What am I tolerating that I shouldn't? Because everything you tolerate is a choice. Here's something most people never understand. Accountability and freedom are twins. You can't have one without the other. The more accountable you become, the freer you feel, because you realize you're not at the mercy of anyone or anything. You stop waiting for luck. You stop waiting for motivation. You stop waiting for someone to notice or rescue you. You start doing it yourself. That's the shift from waiting for change to creating it. Accountability turns pain into power. It turns mistakes into lessons. It turns setbacks into strategies. Because when you take ownership, even your failures become tools. You stop seeing life as unfair and start seeing it as feedback. Every experience, good or bad, becomes a mirror showing you what needs work. That's how you evolve. Not through perfection, but through participation. Most people think freedom is doing whatever you want. But real freedom is knowing you can handle whatever comes. And you can only know that through accountability, through trusting yourself enough to take charge of your life, even when it's hard. Freedom isn't the absence of responsibility. It's the result of mastering it. You've probably met people who never grow. They tell the same stories, repeat the same mistakes, live the same patterns year after year. They blame others, circumstances, bad luck. And every time something goes wrong, it's always someone else's fault. Those people aren't unlucky, they're unaccountable. And until they take responsibility, they'll stay stuck in the same loop forever. But the moment you say, enough, this is mine to fix, this is my life to change, you break that loop. You step into maturity. You step into power. Accountability doesn't mean controlling everything. It means controlling yourself, your reactions, your choices. your mindset. You can't change the world, but you can change your world. And when you do that consistently, the world around you begins to shift. People respect accountability because it's rare. In a world full of excuses, ownership is magnetic. It builds trust, it builds confidence, it builds peace. Because you're no longer at war with your own truth. Here's the paradox. Accountability requires humility, but it leads to empowerment. It means admitting, I made mistakes. But it also means realizing, I can make better ones next time. That's the heart of growth, not perfection, but progression. You don't need to have all the answers. You just need to stop pretending that your choices don't matter. They do. They always have. So, take a moment. Look at your life as it stands today. Every habit, every relationship, every pattern, they're all results of something you chose or allowed. That's not a reason to feel guilty. That's a reason to feel powerful. Because if you built this life, you can build a better one. You're not stuck, you're responsible. And responsibility is just another word for freedom. Freedom begins the moment you stop saying, why me? And start saying, what now? It begins when you stop waiting for someone to hand you peace and start creating it yourself. It begins when you accept that your happiness, your healing, your purpose, they're yours to shape. No one owes you your best life, but you owe it to yourself to live it. The weight you feel when you first take accountability, it's real. But keep going, because that same weight, when lifted, becomes strength. Every choice you make with ownership builds muscle, mental, emotional, spiritual. And over time, you realize that accountability wasn't a burden after all. It was the very thing that made you powerful. So, stop apologizing for taking control. Stop explaining your healing to people who benefit from your weakness. Stop blaming what you can change. Take responsibility. Take action. Take back your life. Because the truth is, accountability doesn't limit you, it liberates you. It turns I can't into I can. It turns I wish into I will. It turns someday into today. And that's the day everything changes. Chapter 9. Becoming who you needed. There comes a point in your life when you realize no one is coming to save you. No one is going to swoop in and fix what's broken, heal what's hurting, or guide you out of the darkness. And for a while, that truth hurts. It feels heavy, unfair, lonely. But then, something shifts. You stop waiting for someone to rescue you, and you start becoming the person you always needed. That's the turning point. That's where your story changes. All your life, you've been looking for someone who would understand without you having to explain. Someone who would protect you from the world. Someone who would love you without conditions, without limits, without fear. Maybe that person never showed up. Maybe they tried and couldn't stay. Maybe they left before they should have. Or maybe you never found them because, deep down, that person was never meant to be someone else. It was always meant to be you. You were always meant to become the love you needed, the strength you wished for, the voice that tells you, you're safe now. I've got you. Becoming who you needed isn't about bitterness or blame. It's about healing. It's about recognizing that the version of you who was hurt, abandoned, dismissed, or forgotten still lives inside you, waiting for someone to show up and say, I see you. You are that someone. You are the adult your younger self was crying out for. You are the comfort your past self never received. You are the closure you've been waiting for from people who were never capable of giving it. Becoming who you needed means giving yourself what no one else could. But to do that, you have to face the wounds you've been avoiding. You have to go back and sit with the pain you've buried, the memories you pretend don't matter anymore but still shape how you see the world. You have to meet your younger self again. The one who felt unseen, unheard, unwanted. The one who learned to stay quiet just to keep the peace. The one who believed that love had to be earned. That version of you doesn't need your judgment, they need your compassion. They need you to stop criticizing who they were and start understanding why they became that way. Because healing isn't about hating the old you, it's about finally loving them enough to let them rest. You've carried their fears for too long. The fear of rejection, the fear of not being enough, the fear of being too much. You built your personality around avoiding those fears. You became agreeable so you wouldn't be abandoned. You became quiet so you wouldn't be criticized. You became strong so you wouldn't be hurt again. But you're not that child anymore. You don't need those defenses now. You're allowed to put them down. You can speak. You can rest. You can be real. That's what becoming who you needed truly means. It's not just self-love. It's self-parenting. It's self-protection without self-destruction. It's giving yourself what you once begged for and realizing you were always capable of it. There's a certain beauty in realizing that no one can do this work for you, because it means no one can take it away from you either. When you learn to nurture yourself, to hold your own pain, to validate your own worth, you become untouchable. The world can reject you, misunderstand you, doubt you, but it can't take your peace, because your peace no longer depends on their approval. It comes from something deeper, something built from the inside out. That's the kind of strength that can't be faked. It's quiet, it's steady, it's real. To become who you needed, you have to stop chasing people who remind you of your pain. You have to stop seeking validation from the same kind of love that once broke you. You have to stop waiting for someone to give you closure for a story you can finish yourself. Sometimes healing means walking away not because you hate them, but because you finally love yourself enough to stop begging for what should have been freely given. You don't need them to see your worth anymore. You see it now. You don't need them to say sorry. You've already forgiven. You don't need their approval. You've already chosen yourself. That's the quiet revolution of self-healing. It doesn't make noise, but it changes everything. Becoming who you needed doesn't mean you stop needing others. It means you stop depending on others to give you what only you can give yourself. When you learn to hold yourself with gentleness, love becomes a choice, not a necessity. You stop clinging. You stop chasing. You stop settling. Because your self-worth isn't a question anymore, it's a foundation. And on that foundation, everything changes. You attract different people. You create different opportunities. You carry yourself differently. Because the person who knows their worth stops apologizing for their existence. But don't mistake becoming who you needed for perfection. You'll still doubt yourself sometimes. You'll still feel small, scared, lost. Healing doesn't make you invincible, it makes you aware. It teaches you how to comfort yourself when you're triggered instead of punishing yourself for it. It teaches you how to set boundaries without guilt. It teaches you how to say, "This isn't good for me," and walk away without explaining. You become your own safety net, someone you can trust to catch you when the world feels unstable. Maybe that's what growing up really means. Not just paying bills or getting older, but learning how to be there for yourself the way you wished someone had been. Learning how to listen to your own needs without waiting for permission. Learning how to choose peace over drama, clarity over chaos, truth over comfort. It's realizing that self-respect isn't selfish, it's sacred. You start honoring your boundaries. You start keeping your promises to yourself. You start speaking kindly to the person in the mirror. That's what love looks like when it's no longer borrowed, it's built. There's something holy about that moment when you realize you're finally safe within yourself. When you can say, "I trust me." When you can sit in your own company and feel at home. When you can look back at your pain and say, "Thank you for making me who I am, but I'm not living there anymore." That's when you know you've become the person your past self prayed for. And it's not about pretending you don't need anyone. You still need connection. You still need love. But now you know how to need people without losing yourself in the process. You can love without begging. You can give without depleting. You can forgive without forgetting your worth. Because you've learned to fill your own cup first. And once your cup overflows, you stop giving from your emptiness and start giving from your abundance. Becoming who you needed isn't a destination, it's a lifelong practice. Some days, you'll slip. You'll forget your worth. You'll seek comfort in the wrong places again. That's okay. Healing isn't linear. The goal isn't to never fall, it's to know how to stand back up. And every time you do, you prove to yourself that you are everything you once looked for. The world will tell you to move on, to toughen up, to let go of the past. But healing isn't forgetting. It's remembering differently. It's looking back and saying, "I went through that and I survived." It's realizing that your scars aren't signs of weakness, they're signatures of resilience. You can look at your past without shame because you've grown beyond it. You can carry your story without hiding it because you understand now it made you real. You've spent so much of your life trying to find someone to be your anchor. But what you really needed was to learn how to anchor yourself. And you've done that, slowly, quietly, relentlessly, through every disappointment, every setback, every lonely night. You've been building that foundation. And now, you are your own steady ground. Becoming who you needed doesn't mean you stop feeling pain. It means pain no longer defines you. It means you can walk through the fire and know that you won't burn, you'll forge. It means you can finally look at your reflection and see not a survivor, not a victim, but a creator. The creator of your healing, the builder of your peace, the protector of your own heart. So now, when you look in the mirror, say it. I am who I needed. I am enough. I am safe with me. Because you are. You always have been. You just had to remember. Chapter 10. The Awakening. There's a moment quiet, almost invisible when everything changes. It's not a fireworks kind of moment. There's no dramatic music, no spotlight. It happens in silence, somewhere deep inside you, when you finally whisper the words, "I'm done pretending, I'm ready to live." That's the awakening. Not a single event, but a return to yourself, to truth, to consciousness. It's the moment you stop chasing and start becoming. For years, you've been asleep with your eyes open, following routines, checking boxes, surviving days that all look the same. You told yourself you were fine. You smiled, you hustled, you played your part. But something inside you has always known. That quiet voice, buried under noise and obligation, has always been calling. And you've ignored it, drowned it out with distractions, silenced it with fear. Until now. Because the truth can only wait so long before it starts breaking through your walls. The awakening begins when you finally stop running. When you stop blaming, stop avoiding, stop waiting. When you start asking, who am I really beneath all of this? It begins when you realize that the version of you the world sees isn't the full picture. That behind every smile, every mask, every performance, there's a deeper self waiting to breathe. And that self isn't lost. It's just been buried under years of expectations and survival. Awakening is remembering. Remembering who you were before the world told you who to be. before fear taught you silence, before failure taught you doubt, before pain taught you to hide. At first, awakening feels like chaos, because truth doesn't arrive gently. It shakes everything you've built on lies. It tears down false identities, shallow goals, and the illusions you've been clinging to for safety. You'll question everything: your job, your relationships, your dreams, even your own reflection. You'll look at your life and realize how much of it was lived for approval instead of purpose. And that realization hurts, but it's the pain of rebirth, not destruction. The life you built while asleep must crumble before you can build one that's awake. The awakening isn't comfortable. It asks everything of you. It demands honesty where you've been lying. It demands stillness where you've been distracting. It demands courage where you've been hiding. It's not about fixing yourself, it's about facing yourself. And that's terrifying, because facing yourself means confronting your shadows. Your envy, your anger, your shame, your regret. It means sitting in the discomfort of your own truth. But here's the secret: the parts of you you've been running from are not your enemies. They're your teachers. Each shadow holds a story. Each wound holds wisdom. Each fear holds freedom if you're willing to listen. Awakening doesn't mean becoming fearless. It means no longer letting fear make your decisions. It means walking with it, hearing it, and still moving forward. It means realizing that growth isn't about adding more, it's about removing what's false. You don't need to become more. You need to remember who you already are. Because beneath all the layers, the doubt, the defense, the disappointment, you're already whole. The awakening is simply the process of remembering that truth. As you awaken, the world around you begins to shift. The things you used to tolerate start to feel unbearable. The people who thrive on drama feel draining. The conversations that once filled you now feel hollow. It's not arrogance, it's alignment. You're no longer matching energy with anything that dishonors your peace. You start choosing differently. You start saying no without guilt. You start protecting your time, your focus, your heart. And that's when the people who don't understand your growth will call you changed. But they're right, you have. You're no longer asleep. Awakening means responsibility. It means realizing that your thoughts shape your reality. That the energy you carry is the environment you live in. That every complaint, every excuse, every self-sabotage is a choice. You start to see that life doesn't happen to you, it responds to you. And when you shift your frequency, everything around you begins to follow. You stop waiting for the world to be different. You become different, and the world mirrors that. That's the power of awareness. That's the essence of awakening. And yes, awakening can be lonely, because once you start seeing clearly, you can't unsee. You'll outgrow places, people, habits. You'll crave solitude more than attention. But solitude isn't emptiness, it's clarity. It's where you meet yourself without noise. It's where peace becomes more important than popularity. You learn that being alone doesn't mean being lonely, it means being aligned. And from that alignment, you start attracting what's meant for you, not because you chase it, but because you finally match it. The awakened version of you is calm in chaos, soft in strength, humble in power. You no longer fight every storm, you let the rain wash you clean. You no longer chase validation, you live in truth, and that's enough. You understand that life isn't supposed to be perfect, it's supposed to be real. It's supposed to stretch you, test you, break you, rebuild you. Awakening is not escaping life, it's entering it fully, consciously, courageously. The world won't change just because you wake up, but your world will. you'll start noticing beauty in places you used to overlook: the sunlight through your window, the sound of your own breath, the quiet peace in ordinary moments. You'll start feeling gratitude not as a practice, but as a presence. And you'll realize that awakening isn't about escaping your humanity, it's about embracing it. To feel everything, to love without walls, to hurt and still hope. That's what being awake truly means. One day, you'll look back and realize that all the pain, confusion, and chaos weren't setbacks, they were signals. Each one was guiding you here. To this moment, to this awareness, you'll see that nothing was wasted. Not the heartbreaks, not the failures, not the endings. They were all part of your awakening, the process of remembering your strength, your light, your purpose. And when you finally arrive at that realization, something inside you softens. You stop fighting the past. You stop fearing the future. You start being fully, deeply, peacefully in the present. You breathe differently. You see differently. You live differently. Because you understand now. The awakening was never about becoming someone new. It was about coming home to yourself. So here you are, awake. Not perfect, not finished, but alive. Alive in a way that no comfort, no mask, no lie could ever give you. Alive with truth pulsing through your veins. Alive with gratitude for both the light and the dark. You finally see that every chapter, the lies, the pain, the fear, the masks, was necessary. Because they brought you here. Here, where the noise is quiet. Where the pretending is over. Where peace isn't something you chase, it's something you are. This is your awakening. Not an ending, but a beginning. Not a destination, but a return. You're not who you were, and you're not who you'll become. You're something in between. Present, aware, free. And from here, everything is possible. Take a breath, right now. In through the nose, out through the truth. You've walked through every shadow to get here: the lies, the comfort, the pain, the masks, the fear. You've faced every part of yourself you once tried to hide. You've stripped away the noise and met what's real. And now, it's quiet. That silence you feel, that's not emptiness, that's peace. That's what it sounds like when you finally stop lying to yourself. For most of your life, you've been searching for meaning, for love, for clarity. You've been chasing approval, chasing happiness, chasing the feeling of enough. But the truth is, you were never missing. You were just asleep beneath layers of expectation. Every chapter of your journey, the struggle, the heartbreak, the fear, was never punishment. It was preparation. Every breakdown was leading you to this breakthrough. Every ending was making space for this beginning. And now, standing here at the end of this story, you see it clearly. You were never meant to be rescued. You were meant to remember. You remember now that you are both the wound and the healer, both the storm and the calm, both the question and the answer. You remember that the love you kept searching for in others was never missing. It was waiting for you to give it to yourself. You remember that the voice you silenced to fit in was the very voice that was meant to lead you. You remember that every fear you faced was not there to stop you, it was there to awaken you. That's what it means to stop lying to yourself. It means you finally stop apologizing for being real. It means you stop dimming your light to keep others comfortable. It means you stop carrying guilt for growing beyond your past. Look back for a moment, not with regret, but with reverence. Every version of you, even the broken ones, got you here. Every time you fell, you learned how to rise. Every time you were lost, you discovered another piece of home. Forgive them all, those versions of you who didn't know better, who tried, who stumbled, who survived. They were doing their best with what they had. Now, it's your turn to do better with what you've learned. The world around you may not have changed, but you have. And that changes everything. You don't see life the same way anymore. You no longer chase what's temporary. You no longer run from what's uncomfortable. You no longer seek peace. You embody it. You realize that growth doesn't mean becoming someone else. It means shedding everything you're not. And in that shedding, you rediscover your truth, the one that's always been whispering beneath the noise. You are enough. You are capable. You are whole. Right here, right now. So as you close this chapter, remember this. Your awakening isn't a finish line. It's a way of life. A daily choice to stay honest, stay awake, stay aligned. You will fall again. You will forget again. But now you know how to find your way back to presence, back to purpose, back to truth. And that's all that matters. When the noise of the world grows loud again, when doubt, fear, and comparison try to drag you back into pretending, remember who you are now. You've walked through the darkness. You've faced your lies. You've rebuilt your truth. You are no longer a prisoner of your own mind. You are the architect of your freedom. Stop lying to yourself. You are not broken. You are becoming. You are not behind. You are exactly where your soul needs you to be. You are not too late, too much, or not enough. You are a living reminder that healing is possible, that growth is real, that truth is liberation. And when the world tries to tell you to go back to sleep, don't. Stay awake. Stay honest. Stay human. Because the greatest gift you can give this world, the one thing that changes everything, is the fully awakened, fully honest, fully real version of you. That's the version that inspires. That's the version that heals. That's the version that leads. So breathe deep. Lift your head. Walk forward, no mask, no fear, no lies. You've come home to yourself. And that is where your story truly begins.